5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're straight foot on the brake.
In-depth race recaps.
Coming to the line, Ryan Blaney's going to do it.
Pit stops and strategy breakdown.
Way to stick with it, buddy. Proud of you. Yeah, man, really good quality in there. Good job.
Fantasy racing results and insights.
Hey, driver, great job there, bud. Hey, boss.
Your weekly destination for everything Ryan Blaney and Team 12.
Looking forward to seeing you down the victory lane.
This is the Team Blaney podcast.
I'm still Team Blaney.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 220 of the Team Blaney podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. This week, we're here to break down Ryan Blaney's run in the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Steve, welcome back to another episode of the show. This week, I have to say I'm sad to see no mustache this week. Well, we said only mustache for wins, maybe something like that if it goes on. So no mustache this week, but glad you're back.
Yeah, something more appropriate, I guess, but not a day like yesterday. No, I don't think it's mustache appropriate after yesterday.
And what did you say at the end of it? You said, "Well, that was a race."
that was a race. That was the whole way to sum it up. The positive, it wasn't as bad as the last couple that Ryan's had at Vegas. The negative, I guess, if you want to look at negative, is that it had potential to be more. Maybe not a W, but at least potential to be a lot more than it was. And until certain events happened, I think it could have been. But we'll look at that, and hopefully it's nothing like earth-shattering. I guess point-wise, it really wasn't bad, right? Point-wise,
not too bad.
Kind of gained on the leader a little bit in the point standings, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't lose a lot.
Yeah,
but the leader didn't get too far ahead, really, of anybody. So
far ahead, yeah.
But I would also say the way you described it would also maybe describe the race in general. And you said this thing to me too. You I thought the next gen cars on intermediate tracks were supposed to be great. I kind of said to you, I kind of feel like Vegas fell down the totem pole last year, like even below Texas, because I think the Texas race was even a little bit more interesting than it had been recently. And listening to, I think, Denny Hamlin's show earlier today, and he wasn't really talking about the racing being good or bad, but he was talking about how it's different there. And he mentions, like, compared to Kansas and Charlotte and some other places that are intermediates, Vegas is really narrow. You can run the apron a little bit on the front stretch to cheat things a little bit, but not as much as you would at some other places. And then in the turns too, there's narrow turns. So when the next gen car on intermediates has like more options with lines and big sweeping options for that, that's kind of where the better racing is. So Vegas, I don't think, outside of maybe the first year where everybody was new to the car, hasn't really produced too many exciting intermediate races. And even Kansas is starting to fall off a little bit too. So that might be part of the culprit. But yeah, it was a race and it was fine.
Every generation of a car, the first year or two, there's teams figuring out the car and trying to distance themselves from other teams. And like less practice helps because teams vary in setup, and then it takes longer to dial the car in. Pretty much from the first stage on yesterday, everybody was within about 0.2 of each other. And I say everybody, I don't mean all 36 cars, but probably the top 12 cars were within 0.2 of a lap of each other consistently every lap. And when you get these guys all running one of two lines, and then they all got it within 0.2 of each other, it becomes a parade. Then it becomes, is your pit stop a little shorter than theirs, or did you pit for tires before they did or after they did? And what kind of run did you make based on that? And that's basically what it looked like to me from the stuff I'm watching and the timing score I'm watching. So that's why I said it was a race. And the one strategy call that they make that may have helped them with that position gets screwed up by something totally out of their control.
And unfortunately, what we did see that we talked a little bit about last week and kind of has been what's been talked about all year long, and that's like Toyota dominance. And I'm not bringing it up in a conspiracy theory if you get in our comments, you see, oh, they're cheating because of the lawsuit, and NASCAR wants Toyota to win, yada yada. It's sick. The sport is cyclical. Like sometimes the Chevys are good, sometimes the Fords are good. Right now, the Toyotas have hit on something, and this will kind of just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. But we did see, once again, the Toyotas definitely had a setup advantage, somewhat. Some call it a horsepower advantage, something like that. But we did kind of see that again during this race as well. And the Fords outside of RFK Racing, which that was interesting to see. Those cars kind of blow past Ryan a couple of times yesterday. That they were kind of the class of the Ford field. And you could disagree, but I'd say the stats kind of show
Well,
the 17 specifically in the 60 at times had a lot more speed.
I don't know. Running position is the stat I was looking at. For the most part, he ran in front of all the Fords. He was the top Ford almost all day until what happens in the third stage. So somebody is kind of like talking about that before, and I think it's true. Is Penske? You try to group them and say, "Here's Penske as a team," and the reality is it's 1, 2, 3, and the third one sometimes is way off. The second one is like they don't do it as a group, and Ryan is always the best of the three. So it's hard to like say, well, Ford wise, Penske versus RFK Ford wise. They're a lot more grouped together. RFK is between the three drivers and how the cars run. Ryan's just a head and shoulders above anybody at his in his garage area, and I think he's better than Ford. So yeah, I always look at it like he's different,
And we saw that with RFK yesterday. They hit on something with this track, and all three were up front, top 15 all day. And by the end of it, I don't remember the exact finish, but a couple of them were in the top 10 toward the end of the race as well. Even I think Brad did it with a little bit more strategy. The 60 and 17 did it more on speed. So the rest of the Penske cars, it was Cindric at times
there was a point. There was a point in time. Early in one run where Cindric was the top Ford till Ryan passed him. But Austin did run a pretty good day, really, for the most part. He got caught the same thing that Ryan did. They pitted almost at the same time. So that's
and where was Josh Berry, the winner from last year? Was it 30 plus like all day long? It was very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Out to lunch,
Anyway, this will be an interesting show. It's I am very much in that it was a race mentality. Yeah. I feel like we should be more upbeat considering the last three results at this track. But it's just another one of those weekends where there's a what could have been, but not necessarily a man, we lost out on a win. But as you said, it could have been a little bit better. So, but speaking of not so exciting things, let's talk about practice.
That's another thing. I don't know. And there was a comment at the end of practice I'll read because I try to take notes of scanner stuff too, because I don't know how many people pull the scanner up for practice. I do. And there was something said at the end of practice that makes me wonder if they were trying some things here, because group one goes out. Ryan, of course, is in group two. But group one, the fast lap was the 47 at a 29.460. The 22 was in group one. His single lap was 0.8 off. He was like 16th for one point. The 21 was like 13th fastest in group one. It looked really just not good as far as like the program goes, right? And then the 5-lap average leader was the 42, which was kind of strange even in that group. 10-lap and 15-lap average was the 38. So at least in group two, the Fords looked halfway decent. It wasn't even the Ford you'd expect. It was front row. The two car in that group, he got to P13. That's with a single lap, about 3.393 back. And the 38 car ran 32 laps. He was the most laps run. So we get to group two. And 5 laps in here, P31 time wise overall, about 9/10 back of the 20 car. And the 20 car set a faster lap than anybody in the first group. He went 29.330. Jonathan says if it's not getting any better, bring it in. 12 laps, they bring it in. It was getting better within those laps, but the best 5 and 10 lap average at that point is the 11 though. So the 11's looking like he's going to have the car for longer runs. 24 laps in, they come back in with a vibration. So I'm sure there was a little bit of a panic, and a little bit of I don't know how you want to put it. Like there was just a little bit of a deja vu, feeling.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
most people listening to this know why there's the panic, but 3 straight race weekends at Las Vegas, specifically in
Well,
practice as
that's-
well, they've lost tires and junked the car
Yeah.
and gone to backup cars. So there is a reason why
Yeah,
they could hear
and
footsteps maybe when they're out there practicing.
and TV showed the low light package right at that point. So they do come back out for a lap or two, and 2 different attempts at hot pit road entry here. Ends up running 27 laps. So for not very good looking, and for qualifying, he does go out last. So usually that's really good because you get that the track is cleaned off. You got to see other people where they ran, how they ran their come to lap, things like that. So Tim and Ryan discussed that when Ryan finally gets in the car, where the good laps, what they look like. At one point, the 54 and then the 11, everybody was running these certain laps and were 2/10 faster than everybody else, the Toyotas. So really, really had it locked down. The 20 goes out, goes P1 right before Ryan. So watching practice, you see all these Toyotas, they're all top of the board. And then Ryan goes out and puts a lap of P6 overall. And I thought all of a sudden, like, hey, we won the day. Because really that was way better than I thought it was going to go. And when they do that, the shadow car, he was actually pretty decent in 1 and 2 compared to the 20. Lost a little bit in 3 and 4 compared to the 20. So it really looked like it was encouraging that all they had to do was find something.
And I'll give you credit. You did say, we chatted a little bit after practice was over, and you said, I don't know, I feel like he can still qualify top 5. And I know you are, I don't want to say overly, you are extremely optimistic about all things. You're very much a wise and in our day kind of a guy. And you pretty much called it. I mean, he ends up qualifying just 1 spot off of that. And what helps here is you get a good pit selection. We made it through practice. We didn't blow up any tires. Practice, yeah, it was a little weird, but they get a great qualifying position out of it.
It's funny, like they talk on the radio, like real quick afterward, and Ryan thanks everybody, and then Jonathan says, "Great job, Ryan. Way to go. Thanks for sticking with us." So whatever swing they qualifying or whatever they're trying to do in practice, were things that we don't know anything about. But it's interesting they actually say anything like over the radio too, because it's like you're going to see him in 2 minutes anyway in the garage, and you can debrief there, But over the radio, he just wanted to let Ryan know that he did a really good job with what he was given. So the 20 with the pole there, and the 11, the 54, the 23 are the top 4. Those are all Toyotas. We put the 5 car in there for the top Chevy, and then the 12, of course, the top Ford to start the day. So we get to Sunday, stages of 80, 165, 267, 9 sets of tires, pit stall 36. So that's one great thing about qualifying better is you can pick these pit stalls where you've got an opening. This one's got an opening in front, and the 35 pitting behind us. Tim talks about them, the 60 and the 17 are like behind him, and them going 3 wide on the start. So kind of watching for that. 20 chooses the low lane for the start. And within the first lap there, we sort to P6. Then the 11 takes the lead. And the 97 almost wrecks on the opening lap. I don't know what happened there. His day went downhill real quick after that.
Yeah, what's unfortunate for him, and we've seen this the last few ovals with SVG, is he has spun out multiple times, but normally been able to rebound. From what I understand, their biggest issue here was when he spun down onto the apron, and he damaged the splitter. And with the next gen car on an intermediate track, if you damage the splitter, your day is pretty much toast. So
Yeah.
that pretty much was it from the gate. So I'm not sure what else he was able to learn this weekend, but I think he had a fairly strong run there in the fall. So I'm sure they were very disappointed in what happened.
Yeah, the lap 3 here, the 45 passes us. So we're P7. At lap 12, Ryan says we start off a little bit tight. At lap 15 here, the 11 is leading, and we're 4.76 back. But like I said, it's run about the same lap times and about 4/10 back of P6, who's the 23 at this point. At lap 20 here, starts trying the high line in 3 and 4. So we're experimenting, not really worried about any pressure. Lap 30 here, we pass the 45, get to P6, and I may have it in my notes again here later on. Yeah, there they are right there. The 45 literally dropped quickly. He got to like a wall. Like he would get to about 20 laps into a run or so, and then all of a sudden he'd be 4 to 5 tenths slower. If he went through his tires or his setup was somewhat like, but
Yeah. It happened
he
all
goes
race
back.
long.
Yeah, a couple different times, right? So the lap 33 here, green flag pit cycle starts, and we're pitting, and the 20 leads as the 11 pits. We pit for an 11.040 stop. I tried to message Bozy after you messaged Bozy about this. Wasn't the stop where they do this with the wrench, but I want to know where he gets the pit times from so I can correct them because his site I think shows these like as 10s or almost 9s, and there is one later on that uh, is like a 9, and I think it's actually an 8 on their charts. So it's like I'd like to know where he gets them because the NASCAR app, this is what they give me, and it doesn't sound as good, but I think they're actually better than we think. Just the NASCAR app must time them differently. Lap 36, the 22 is leading. He stayed and ran long. At lap 39, the 77, and Jonathan says to Timmy here, they were a little bit quartered on the right front. So to kind of let him know that the rest of this run's going to be a little bit longer than the first run. So lap 40, P11 here as the cycle continues here. And, once again, Jonathan tells Timmy to make sure he takes care of it. Lap 43 here up to P8 as the cycle is almost over. The 11 leads, the 24 and the 45 are the ones who got by in the cycle. They pitted one lap earlier. And this is something later on, too, that it's a second to a second and a half lap, a lap faster on the fresh tires. So if you can short pit sometimes, it might be worth it. Or run long and then have fresher tires at the end of a run. So it's just, it's that sword that the computer tells them what to do sometimes, and you got to kind of gamble on it. So at lap 50 here, we're passing some lappers, the 97, the 10, because they're kind of in the way here. At lap 51, the 60 does pass us. We're in 9th. At lap 56, the 9 passes, and we're in 10th. And we're about 9 seconds back of the 11 in P1. And in 11th is the 17. He's 3 seconds behind us. So that's how much it's spread out, too, with this cycle. At lap 59 here, the 19 is P30, a lap down, but he comes by on fresh tires, trying to get his lap back. At lap 65 here, still about 8.62 back of P1. Gained a little bit of time on this, actually. 25 cars in the lead lap. Then the 20 ends up taking the lead. At lap 68, the 11 takes it back. So there is a good battle at the front going on, a little back and forth. Lap 70 here, 7.457 back of P1. So once again, we've gained like a second and almost a second and a half in 5 laps. We're gaining on P9, who's the 45. Lap 75, we got laps in the way, the 88 and the 47. At lap 76, we pass the 45. We get to 9th, and not forcing it into traffic at all here. At lap 80, the 20 wins the stage. Ryan P9, 21 cars at the end of a green flag cycle to start the race. So, one of those things. If it keeps going like this, we might have 10 to 15 cars on the lead lap by the end of the race if it continues green. It says here he lost overall grip, but it felt freer. It was going faster, but it was just bouncing a lot. So, whatever the adjustment there was, it was kind of bouncing on him. They're pitting for 4 tires, in P9, out P10, but then we get penalties for the 11 and the 54 for speeding. So they actually end up P8 on the cycle. It's a 10.140 stop. Once again, this is probably a 9 something, according to the times that the pit guys like to use, but NASCAR's app 10.140. Jonathan says there was still some cording on the right front. So for this choose, the 20 takes the bottom. Ryan takes the bottom in row 4, restarting at lap 88. Sorts out to 12th. Lap 92 here, we pass the 77 to get to 11th. And at this point, the 20 and the 5 are battling for the lead. As a matter of fact, at lap 93, the 5 takes the lead. At lap 95, we pass the 17 to get to 10th. At lap 97, passing the 38 to get to 9th. At lap 100, passing the 60 to get to 8th. 4.184 back of the 5 car, and who's in first. At lap 103, we pass the 2 to get to 7th. So here we are now, probably the top 4 at this point. Lap 108, passing the 45 to get to 6th. At lap 110, it is about 6 seconds back of P1. And at lap 113 here, Ryan says we need about a number more turn. Jonathan asks about working on green flag balance. Now, this sequence here, there is, we're going to find out, I think, a little bit of miscommunication at some point. And I found online today too that they lost Wi-Fi. I think this is the point of the race where they lost Wi-Fi at the tower too, and that kind of affected communications with certain things. So the pitting starts at lap 119 here, and by lap 120, lap 120, the 12 takes the lead. So he had stayed out, and 122, Ryan says maybe a half a number of turn. At lap 125, they pit.
And like you said, we think, and they it's because they discussed this, I think, at the end of the stage. But Timmy comes on and talks about missing the message. So we don't think their intent was to not pit with the leaders. But I think when they missed it, they're like, okay, let's run a little bit longer here, and like what you said, at the end of the run, have better tires and potentially make a run. You sort of saw that in the last stage with the 20 car, but he only went like a lap or 2 longer than everybody else, and it paid off for him. You'll see what happens here in this situation, but I know a lot of people were confused as to why they stayed out in the first place, and telling people it was a mistake isn't going to make anyone feel any better, but at least you kind of know, I guess.
Yeah. So this is an 11.90 stop. Lap 129 coming back out at the 13th. At lap 130 up to 12th as the 6 finally pits. At lap 150, we pass the 54 to get to 11th. At 158, the 24 is the leader at that point. Lap 165, the 24 wins the stage and Ryan's 11th. So he said he's like crazy, spinning out after that green flag stop. So whatever that adjustment was, they may want to go back on this. And they're going to be coming around the 35 here, who's working on a battery, but I think the 35 actually gets away before they come down pit road. So in P11, out 11, this is a 9.620 stop. Once again, according to NASCAR. Once again, I would love to see the action in the high 8s, right? Jonathan says they worked on turn a little bit from the last yellow run. The 5 is the leader, and Timmy and Jonathan discussed that communication thing. So for this choose here, the 5's taking the bottom. Ryan takes the top in row 6. They restart lap 173. Right away passing the 38 to get to 10th. At 174 passing the 60 to get to 9th. The 24 is the leader at that point. At lap 185, the 11 is taking the lead, and we're 5.827 in 9th. Lap 91, passing the 23 to get to 8th. At lap 200, P8, 8.136 back of first, which is the 11. Ryan says we're a little bit snug. So at lap 207, Tim makes a comment about staying off channel 2. And I think this was just to try to make sure that if they're going to pit, they know when they're going to pit. And literally the next lap, they pit. So this was the start of green flag cycle. They were going to jump everybody. Now, at this, what was he? He was 8th, right? He was 8.316 back. I believe there were 2 or 3 cars within a second of him in front of him. So he's already jumped them. And if they get a clean stop and get a clean run here, he probably would have got himself to at least 6th maybe even 5th, and then work forward from that. Being as they're running close to the same lap times anyway, he would have got that position. The stop itself is an issue. 13.240 stop. Now,
not a crew
issue. Not a crew issue, please. Everybody wanted to throw everybody under the bus. But if you're watching the actual race, and I think TV showed it, right? TV had to show it. He was the first one on the cycle to stop. He slid through the box, and he literally says, after the caution comes out, he'll say that his foot slipped off the brake. He said that's never happened to him before. So, I mean, that's just one of those things. Something just happened, and that's the way it is.
And pause. Just with that, okay, they've lost a few seconds on track. It was on a green flag cycle, so they were trying to jump people. They weren't going to jump as many as maybe they wanted to, but they were still going to be in a pretty good spot. So, okay, we can rebound from that, right?
Right, because if it takes an extra lap or two for some of those people to pit, he's still going to gain those positions, right? Just by running faster laps. But we get this caution for the 88. I've seen a couple explanations on this. This year, NASCAR saying they're going to wait to throw the flag. And then a number of times they waited to throw the flag in situations where they should have thrown the flag, including the end of a super speedway race when there were injured cars on the track and they raced around to them. I watched it a couple different times. I also, we tried to figure out what the communication was. I think they messed up. I don't think the car was sliding back up across the track in a way or manner that was going to hit anybody. He got it back and moving. If they wait a beat, and I'm not saying waited 5 seconds, wait one more second, he is moving forward on the track at that point. 1 second. I heard somebody say something to the extent of that the 24 was in clean air and they couldn't have that. Thought that was funny. Conspiracy theories abound, right? But it totally changed the complexion of what ends up happening, right? At that point, the 24 is leading, and who knows what happens with the green flag cycle for him. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't think they should have called a caution there. I know it totally screws everything up. We'll end up a lap down and having to take a wave around here. But
yeah,
you
and that's what I said. I mean, my views on watching the replay, I thought that if there was a reason why they threw it, and you kind of said it, was they thought he was going to slide back across the front stretch because he was turned backward and he was moving backwards. But like you said, if they wait one beat, he stops and gets going forward. But they probably saw the smoke and he's spinning backwards, and it's right in. I think the other thing here too, it's right in front of them. A lot of these other cautions that have happened this year have been on the backstretch and other places, so they're looking at their cameras, but this is right directly in front of them. Now you can say that means they should have seen it even clearer to know not to throw it, or maybe it's more they saw it right in front of them and they reacted to it. But I mean, we're going to look at this biasly probably a little bit anyway, because this destroys what a pretty much guaranteed top 10 run for this team. But with the way they had jumped the pit cycle here, even with sliding through the box, they're going to get set up in a really good position to have a shot at a top 5. And I saw lots of people. I mean, it's really easy, hindsight 2020. Oh, I can't believe, why didn't they wait and pit with the leaders? Here we go, the crew chief making a bad call again. Blah, blah. It's really easy to make those decisions and those opinions. Like after the one caution in the entire race that wasn't first stage comes out the exact moment you're leaving your pit stall. Like I saw someone in our chat say, they're like, out of the entire race, the 120 seconds that we did not need a caution to come out, in the entire race it comes out and ruins their whole race and the strategy. And it's racing. It's racing.
Yeah,
but man.
It's one of those things, like I always say about long green flag runs or watching a race go green the whole race pretty much. And the reason I always think of want that to happen is who do I think is the best guy at running consistent laps, consistent fast laps, tire conservation, having something left at the end of the race. Who's the one guy in NASCAR right now who's probably the best at all those things? It's the driver of the 12. And to not have that opportunity, like I said, even if he only jumped 1 or 2 cars in that cycle, and let's say he gets to 6th, the rest of the race, if they go green and nobody pits because they're inside the window at that point, then guess what? You're going to see a bunch of guys slipping and sliding at the end of the race with no tires, and one guy who maybe did a little better job, and I'm not guaranteeing it was him, but he could have and had a chance for 1 or 2 more spots. Like I said, could have been a top 5. Once again, now we're a lap down. We take the wave around. We got cars in between us and the other cars on the lead lap who end up getting the pit under caution. So, and it's good though. We didn't have like anything on our tires at that point, but
yeah. And if anyone doesn't understand the wave around, lap down cars are going to start in front of you. You have to start all the way at the tail basically. And then based on where you are in the order of other people that have to wave as well. So, and some people immediately, you like to say back there with the squirrels, and we'll see on this restart that is very much true. So it's just an unfortunate place to be in, because it's easy to say, oh, he's going to restart 20th here. Boom, he can get back into the top 15 like that. No, he's got to pass probably 10 other cars in between him and the back of the field.
There was 6 to 8 guys in between him and the field at that point. And the 2 was actually 19th, so there was 2 of them back there. That he had to battle with the 2. So literally it was 27th for the choose with the lappers in between. So yeah, he had, excuse me, see here, about 8 or 9 cars between him and the lead lap. The 20 chooses the low here. Ryan chooses the low. He's literally racing the 2 car who's in 19th, restarting on lap 2.8 with the 71 in front of us. And Tim tells him right before the restart, 70-40. Their strategies, I think they did a wave around too, maybe. I'm not sure, but it was crazy. Basically, he's a moving chicane. At lap 233, though, we do get to pass the 2 to get to 19th at lap 243. Passing the 43 to get to 18th, lap 251. Passing the 1 to get to 17th at lap 259. Passing the 7 to get to 16th. And the 11 wins this race. And I didn't really keep track of the leaders and the so forth. I was watching the in-car camera at that point, just watching, see how many more he could get to between there and the end of the race, just to get something back. Got a stage point earlier in the race, but wasn't a total disaster like it's been the last 3 races there. So that's what I'm saying. That's a positive I'm going to pull from it. They definitely can't look at it like they screwed anything up. That's another thing. Anybody who did that online during or after the race, go root for somebody else because they didn't do anything to screw it up. They cannot control that caution when it came out. It came out at an inopportune time. If that caution comes out 10 laps later, oh geez, would we have had some fun, because he would have already jumped a bunch of people, been up in the top 6 or 7, maybe even the top 5. You'd have had a restart, maybe then you had some tire strategies, guy coming in for 2. To end the race, things like that. You could have had all kind of fun things. But when it came out, it was the beginning of a cycle. And that's the other thing. NASCAR's been kind of cognizant of not trying to throw a caution anytime during a pit cycle this year. So that was another thing that was kind of weird, because he had just started the cycle, him and I think the 2, and then the 47 was coming to pit road when the 88 hit him. That's a whole nother thing. There's a great video online of the 51 communication for Cody Ware, where Cody is running somewhere right behind those 2 and coming down the backstretch there. His spotter tells him, it says, hey, guys are starting pit, cycle starting, keep an eye out. And sure enough, he ran high and ran just past those 2 as that all happened.
What's crazy is his spotter tells him the 47 has his hand out the window, he's going to pit. And then as they watch the crash happen, he comes back on again. He's like, he was telling him he was going to pit. He didn't see it. And
didn't see it.
I mean, maybe some of that's Connor being a rookie, and I'm not sure what. He's had a rough go of things this year so far, but man, just and again, it's racing. You're going to get bit by stuff like this. You're going to get unlucky. I mentioned to you, we can't even say Ryan's been unlucky with not getting the cautions he need, because there's 2 or 3 times last year where he got lucky cautions. So he's not all out of luck, but it was just unfortunate. It wasn't going to be a winning day unless crazy things played into their advantage, but they had a shot at the top 5, which with the finishes that they've had this year, they came into this race second in points. The 45 was struggling. We even find out on the last lap, the 45 thought he had a tire going down, so he may have bled a couple of positions right at the end there, but it was just kind of a missed opportunity and not necessarily really anything they did, because once again, if the caution comes out at a different point or a couple laps later or something, they're going to be in a really great spot to get a really good finish out of this. And it's easy to say like you thought they had like a slow car or something, but I mean, they had a top 10 car pretty much all day long. Now we have super high expectations because this team is one of the elite teams in NASCAR. I got done on my soapbox last week telling people that the driver and the team were elite and should be considered elite. So I understand the fans that are disappointed with just a top 10 run, but you're right. The last 3 races here, 3 issues, either tires going down and crashing or getting caught up even after that with a backup car in a crash and somebody else's crash at the last second, and finishing 30th or worse in 3 straight races at Las Vegas. They haven't finished on the lead lap since the spring race of 2024. So they finished on the lead lap. They got 2 stage points earlier in the day for finishing 9th in stage 1. They didn't get any in stage 2. They finished 11th, P16 on the day overall. And as you said, the 11 car has a second emotional victory in a row at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with all of his family there. He had to hold off the 9. The 9 was hard charging at the end of the race. I would say, kind of even similar to last week, if there was 1 or 2 more laps, there might have been a really interesting battle for the win. But Toyota and Denny Hamlin go to victory lane, and Ryan Blaney comes home 16th overall. I mentioned the fact that coming into this race, they were second in the point standing, so Ryan does fall 1 position now to 3rd. 67 points back of the leader, Tyler Reddick. Coming into this race, he was 60 points back of Reddick. So loses 7 points on the day. Without the trouble that they were going to have, he probably would have held the second position and been around about the same as he was coming into the race, but not overall not too terrible. So again, Tyler Reddick leads the point standings overall at 61 points over his teammate, Bubba Wallace, who's moved back into the second position. Again, Ryan Blaney is in 3rd. Denny Hamlin has moved up 8 positions to 4th. And you have to remember, Denny did not have a great start to the season, and he's vaulted his way all the way up through the field into the top 4 here. He's 78 points back to the leader. Chase Elliott's in 5th. Christopher Bell is in 6th. Kyle Larson's up 3 spots to 7th. William Byron is up 3 spots to 8th. There actually are a lot of Fords here in the playoffs right now. Blaney's up there. Chris Buescher is in 9th right now. Ty Gibbs, who continues on his hot streak, all he needed, I made the joke that all he needed was to get kind of embarrassed in court documents, and maybe he started showing up to meetings and suddenly they're running well. But +5 in the standings to 10th. And then we got 3 Fords here in a row. Teammate Joey Logano in 11th, Brad Keselowski in 12th, and Ryan Preece is in 13th. So unlike last year, all 3 RFK cars are all in the playoffs right now. Michael McDowell fell 6 positions, like the moving chicane he is, into 14th. Carson Hocevar's teammate fell a spot to 15th, and Shane Van Gisbergen is still alive in the playoffs right now. Fell 11 positions after the kind of dreadful day he had after spitting right out of the gate. 16th overall for him. The 3rd Spire car, Daniel Suarez, is on the outside looking in 7th, and AJ Allmendinger, who had a strong start to the season, fell out of the playoff standings 5 spots down. He is in 18th. Notables that are still outside of the playoffs right now: Ross Chastain in 20th, Kyle Busch in 22nd, Chase Briscoe in 26th, Austin Dillon, he's always fringe, he's in 24th, Austin Cindric, teammates, in 30th. The other teammate, Josh Berry, is in 32nd. And then from that, I mean, Alex Bowman missed his second straight race, so it's going to be a tough go for him if he doesn't get back in the car this weekend. I think his playoff chances are pretty much over. So, yeah, still several notable cars that could be in the top 16 by the end of this are still on the outside looking in right now. But again, Ryan Blaney, third overall, still just 67 points back. But compared to what happened to them in the day, just 67 points back of the leader, Tyler Reddick. And those two 2311 cars, I think they showed there was a chart. Bubba Wallace has scored the most stage points this season. And he has not finished worse than 11th yet in 5 races in 2026. So if that team starts winning, look out. But congrats to the consistency they've found.
There's one driver that's led at least a lap in every race so far this year too, right?
Yeah, and I believe he's the only one to do it, and that is one Ryan Blaney. So
that's right.
Luckily, they did miscommunicate and stay out. that kept the streak alive. So there's something to look forward to. We'll see if we can keep that thing going. All right, the last thing to talk about when it comes to the weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, that's to get everyone up to date on what happened in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of folks in our Discord kind of comparing their lineups and things. And this happens early on in seasons. A lot of people scored a lot of points and didn't finish anywhere close to the top 10. But that's what happens when everybody has a lot of the good drivers. They all kind of start them in their lineups. I mean, I did the same thing. And even for me, I'll go through. I had a fantastic starting lineup, and I think I split the matchups, and I did not finish anywhere close to the top 10. So started Bubba Wallace, got me 41 points. Larson, 48 points. Ty Gibbs, 39 points. Chase Elliott, 40. Christopher Bell, 51. I actually was smart here. I swapped Bell and Chastain. So I swapped Chastain into the garage. It's kind of surprising for him. We didn't even go into what happened with him and Suarez after the race, but Chastain had like one of the best average finishes at Las Vegas in the next gen car, and they were totally off in this race. So I had originally started him because of that. I made the swap, so I got 51 points out of Bell by doing that. That was a pretty solid lineup, I thought. I picked Gibbs over Barry. That was right. I picked Tosavar over Suarez. That was wrong. I picked Reddick over Blaney. That was right. Sorry that I did that, but I was right. I picked Bubba Wallace over Briscoe, and that was wrong by one position. So I got 2 out of the 4 featured matchups, 239 points on the weekend, but 63rd overall with a really solid run there. So I'd like to hear what your lineup was like.
Yeah, I had Bell, I had Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, Larson. I had Ryan in the garage. And before stage 3 started, I looked at whether or not to swap, and I left him in the garage just based on people I had some stage points that he didn't have. They were looking like getting stage point, stage 2. So Bell 51 points, Bubba over 31, Hamlin worth 70, Ty Gibbs 39, and Larson 48. And then I had Gibbs over Barry. That was right. I had Suarez over Hosfar. That was right. I had Ryan over Reddick, and for most of the race, he was in front of him. I thought I was going to get that, and then I had Bubba over Briscoe, and once again, like you said, one position. So there's 20 points I lost at the end of the day, but I think it was 269 points I believe I had. So not too bad a day. No, that's in the overall standings, but yeah, not too bad for you. You're 12th overall on the weekend, so pretty decent showing. You did beat me by a fairly decent margin, but still, you had a great lineup. Good in the matchups, but only good enough for 12th overall. So let's take a look at the top 10 in points earned this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And that kicks off with Glitterbugs in 10th at 277 points. Our friend Stellanarius, 9th, 278 points. And then we had a 5-way tie for 4th. Markle 12 fan, Pit Stop Pro, Al 12 fan, Brock H, and Go 12 Go all tied for 4th with 279 points on the weekend. Remember, our Discord here is in 3rd, Shar 12 fan, 287 points. Blaney or Bust, and
a stalwart in the league here. Actually, both of them really are. They're pretty consistent. And former champion Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing. They share the win, 289 points on the weekend. So congratulations to Blaney or Bust and the fastest chicken in the South, Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing, 289 points in the win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Overall standings, I've fallen to 16th overall, but I'll take it, 1,012 points. Let's take a look for you. I think actually you're back. You are 42nd overall. So I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts. 967 points on the year for you so far. So you're at 967. I was at 1,012. So not a huge gap there, but 42nd overall for you. I'm just going to keep saying that. 42nd for Steve right now. In 10th, we have Blanical with 1,030 points. The Daisy Dukes are in 9th at 1,033. Blaney Kicks Beep. And 8th at 1,037. Fike 21 is in the 7th position, 1,055. Pit Stop Pro is holding down 6th at 1,058 points. The Buckeye Bullet is in 5th at 1,062. Factory of Sadness 6 is in 4th, 1,063 points. Zero Schlitz Given is in 3rd, 1,088 points. RF Blaney 12, our friend Jerry, is in 2nd, 1,092 points. And holding down the lead in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League so far in 2026 is Glitterbugs with 1,113 points. So, Steve, that brings us now to South Carolina, Darlington Raceway. Things kick off on Friday, March 20th. You have NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on track throughout the day for practice and qualifying. And then at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you have the Buckle Up South Carolina 200 from Darlington. You can watch that streaming on Fox 1, on cable, on FS1, NASCAR Radio Network, and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the radio. Saturday, March 21st, practice and qualifying throughout the day for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. At 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you have practice for the NASCAR Cup Series streaming on Prime only. MRN, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the radio. Qualifying follows at 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday from Darlington for the Cup Series again. Prime, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio on the radio. 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, they get racing in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, the Sport Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200 from Darlington. You can watch that on broadcast TV, the CW Network, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio on the radio. Then Sunday, March 22nd, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the Goodyear 400 from Darlington Raceway. Fox 1 streaming, FS1 on cable, HBO Max for the in-car cameras, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio on the radio. Ryan Blaney, Darlington Raceway, 18 starts, 24 laps led, average start 10.2, average finish 18.7. This is I can't even call it a feast or famine track. He's gotten a little bit better here in the last couple of years, but he's had some issues that have kind of ruined some of his finishes. 2 DNFs, both of those came in 2024. Unfortunately, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and let's take a look at next-gen era finishes for Ryan Blaney starting in 2022. 17th, 13th, 9th, and 9th. Okay, back-to-back top 10s in the championship season, showing some progress. Then both races in 2024, 36th and 37th. And that second race in 2024 is the one where I think this was with Martin Truex Jr., and he only made it a lap and a half and got destroyed in the Southern 500. 2025 spring race, finishes 5th. That doesn't tell the whole story. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then 2025 Southern 500 finishes 18th. Speed-wise, I will say, even in the 2 races where they crashed, well, the one we don't really know, 2 laps in. But they've had decent speed since 2023 at Darlington. They've had some bad luck. They've gotten caught up in crashes. Spring 2025, Steve. Is this one of those things that you talk to your therapist about?
Yes, every day. Every day I need therapy on. It's like a lot of people, because just because somebody else had beef and they had to get into it on the track, cause a caution when, every week that we get this, fire this guy and fire that guy and blah, blah, blah. They executed that race perfectly. They had tires. They had them better at a better point in the race than anybody else, and they were just laps away from winning the darn thing. Before Kyle Larson, who's a gazillion laps down, out there, I don't know what he's doing.
Because he spun out and crashed on his own early in the race.
Yeah, I can go ahead and crash somebody else who crashed me before because I'm mad at him. I'm still mad at him. And he went and did it. And the whole melee has to happen that you just, there was no need. And the worst part is it ruined what was a really great paint scheme, that would have been great as a winning paint scheme, that they're not doing throwbacks now. But that throwback was awesome. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Throwback to Dave's winning car. So yeah, I mean, just the whole thing is just so upsetting. And I know a lot of people are having flashbacks, and they'll spend the week talking about it. I guarantee you that it'll end up on all different shows leading into the, you remember, and this happened. This is what happened, and but we're sending good people down there to Jerry's going this week, so we're sending good people down there, bring the good juju, and hopefully they finish one off at Darlington. 4 second tire fall off is being predicted because of the package. At least that's what Denny said on his podcast last week. So that's another reason to really want to tune in and watch practice and then into the race, because how much will that affect the teams, and how will they be running late in a run, or how many more sets of tires might they need? Maybe Goodyear have to
and
get
this
more
would be
tires.
quite interesting, because I feel like, the Darlington races are, not just usually, they are kind of throwback NASCAR races where sometimes there is really good racing especially through the field. There's comers and goers usually, and some of that's just the grit of having to be good there and be able to run the line that makes speed. And sometimes the leader gets away with it, and Ryan was kind of getting away with it, and getting out to a decent lead before the incident happened in the spring race that ends up ruining their day. But they decide to bring what is now essentially the short track package to Darlington. So it's basically, I think, tracks that are under 1.5 miles and under all run this short track package. So I think they run a simple diffuser under the car. It has the higher, 750 horsepower now.
Right.
The tires probably is different. And it's coming right at a time where, again, the 12 has finally found speed at Darlington. But not all is lost, because people are also very quick to point out this is the same package that they're really good at. Now, different types of tracks, but the same package they're really good at Phoenix and New Hampshire and some of these other, and Iowa and Gateway and things like that. So they have speed in this package, but Darlington is a completely different animal. And you're saying, with the horsepower, with the aero that's going to be different, with the tires, Hamlin is predicting 4 seconds of fall off, and I think in a lot of guys, and they're almost looking forward to it, because drivers like a challenge, kind of like how they used to like old Atlanta, how it was really hard to get around there, but as a driver they enjoyed it. So I don't know if it's going to result in actually good racing. It might result in a lot of cautions if these guys are losing grip and they can't handle the cars, but they feel like they're going to be on edge the entire race.
I think this week at the shop, before you put that thing in the hauler, you go inside of the right-hand side of the car and put as many 2x4s or 2x6s or 2x8s or whatever kind of solid, maybe you put wood beams in there, 4x4 or something, because I really feel you're going to see a lot of cars. They run up against the wall in 3 and 4 there anyway, but I think you're going to see a lot of them up on that wall just from slapping it and, hopefully not coming down across the track afterward, but, keep it their foot in it and hopefully not bending up the car too much. But I think you're going to see a lot of cars doing that.
The other thing that, I don't want to put this out into the world, but that I would also be slightly concerned with, is if the cars are harder to drive and there's more fall off, and if that fall off is related to the tires giving up an actual physical tire rubber and dust coming off. Darlington's a place where even in the old package we've seen a lot of fires, specifically from the Fords. So
Yeah.
that's something to potentially look out for this weekend as well. I don't want to see that, especially when we're rooting for a driver that drives a Ford that have been susceptible to it just based on the build of the cars. So something to not look forward to, but to look into as they head to the weekend at Darlington. So yeah. Darlington, fantastic track. I know a lot of people can't make the decision this last minute to go there, but if you've never been there before, I highly suggest you get there in the playoffs for the Southern 500 later this year. It'd be really, really great opportunity to experience history, walking down from the parking lot under the archway. You just kind of feel like you step back in time a little bit, and you'll get to see some great, gritty racing, a place where drivers really are in control of their own destiny for the most part. And they tend to pack the place pretty well, especially for the Southern 500. But let's see what the crowd is like for the spring race this weekend in South Carolina. I haven't looked at the weather forecast. I do know right now, I think there's still people traveling back from Las Vegas because the planes have been grounded, because if you're on the East Coast, I think up and down the East Coast today, you've experienced some severe weather. So it's been relatively crazy. So hopefully everybody is back in time to kind of regroup, reset, and get ready for the race weekend as the week moves along. So
we had snow.
Yeah, crazy.
70 degrees yesterday here in Ohio. Snow today. And not just like, oh, here's a flurry. No, it's stuck.
Wow.
Crazy
stuff. So again, we'll see what Ryan Blaney and the 12 team can put together. Again, top 5 in the spring race of 2025. That was a near victory. 18th in the fall race. 18 starts, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s for Ryan Blaney and the 12 team at Darlington Raceway. If you want to watch the race again, practice and qualifying kicks off on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Prime. Qualifying follows at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time, and then the race 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Goodyear 400 from Darlington Raceway. Streaming on Fox 1, on cable on FS1, HBO Max if you have the in-car camera set up, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR radio on the radio. Steve, I think that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of the podcast. I did want to stop for a second and just acknowledge that there was a tragedy over the weekend with the World of Outlaws series where a safety official that was well known, Billy Hurt, I believe is his name, lost his life in an accident. A couple of official vehicles collided when they're responding to an incident at the track at the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series race, and he succumbed to his injuries. I understand that he was very popular official at the Chili Bowl Nationals and with, I think, the ASCS or the American Sprint Car Series as well. So super tragic. A lot of people always think about the drivers that are behind the wheel and kind of risking their life and everything, but this is a safety official that's there and designed to be there to help people and save people and keep them safe, and unfortunately lost his life in the while on the job. So thoughts, prayers, and everything go out to his family, the World of Outlaws family, and Sprint Car Nation overall. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. During the week and on race day, you can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Seriously, check out our YouTube channel. Just search for Team Blaney. We'd also like to encourage you to support the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Ryan's official charitable organization benefits brain health causes like UPMC Sports Medicine and the Alzheimer's Association. To learn more, visit ryanblaneyfamilyfoundation.org or follow them on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And I will mention, you can find the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation on YouTube as well. Leah, who we've interviewed several times, is now trying her hand at interviewing people. And she recently talked with Sunshine Tyler Courtney, a sprint car driver who got into a pretty bad crash last year, experienced a concussion, and she talks with him all about his concussion recovery, and he's back in the race car again in 2026. So Leah did a fantastic job with her first interview on there. I understand they're going to try to do some more throughout the year. So Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, search for them on YouTube, subscribe, follow, and support them in watching that video. For my co-host, Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time right here on the Team Blaney podcast.
Hey, if you're having no fun this week, make it fun with some 10 runner. Good night, Vancouver. Check out the TikTok.